more. And I believe it's Minnesota. If you want to put them, right there. And I believe the Lions are right there with them teams, man. I really do. You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't see, for people to be already like afraid. Every year we got to pick a team that we afraid of. Remember last year was the 49ers and the Eagles, and
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? We couldn't beat them teams. They was way better, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? And this year it's the Vikings, the big bad mighty Vikings, the big bad mighty Chicago Bears. You know what I'm saying? And even though we know that what you did last year doesn't automatically, give you a W, W's coming into the following season, but man, to me, I'm not worried about the Vikings. I'm not worried. I just think the Lions can beat all those teams when it comes down to it, regardless of how we look right now. You
No,
know,
I
we.
agree. I think we're better.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be honest about it, Green Bay, if we talking about over the long run, Green Bay is the team we probably will have to see at the very end because I just don't believe in Darnold like that. We've seen a lot of Sam Darnold. Granted, we haven't seen quite as much of Jordan Love, but from what
Yeah,
I've seen, even last week from Jordan Love, I know what that dude's capable of. The arm talent on that dude scares the shit out of me.
yeah. They
Some of the
they they.
throws that he can
Phew.
make and some of the plays that he can make. He worries me way more than Sam Darnold. Now, that Minnesota Vikings defense, like I said, that's a whole different entity. But if we talking about 15 games, not even 15, was it 13 games to go, 14 games to go,
Yeah,
I'm more worried about them. Just being honest. And I respect Minnesota. They tough, they
of course,
resilient.
of
You know what I'm
course.
saying? They have a really solid head coach that came from that Belichick tree. Don't
Mm-hmm.
see too many of them. And it's we've seen this show, I think, with Sam Darnold before. A couple years
Yeah,
ago with Carolina, the Panthers started, I believe, 3-1, wasn't it?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then the wheels kind of fell off with them. Not to say that that's going to happen, but I just don't think it's that sustainable. If you're
Yeah.
just being honest about it. And first quarter of the season, we went 3-1. I felt we were going to go 3-1.
Yeah. I said
I
you
kind of
said that.
thought we were going to lose to Seattle. That was like before the season started when we were discussing it. But yeah, I thought 3-1 was very possible. I didn't have us losing to Tampa.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's up, Ralphie? Yep, I really thought it was. I thought we was gonna go 4-0. Remember, you was like, dude, I don't know about 4-0. I was confident. I just thought, not that I didn't respect the other teams. It was just I thought that we would beat Tampa. You know what I'm saying? And we would beat Seattle finally. Beat the Rams, beat the Cardinals. Even though I think I had 5 losses on our schedule. Yep, I had 5. And the swing game for me was Houston. You know what I mean? And you look at the Lions schedule, man, this is the most important part of the schedule for the season. I think these next 4 games. Well, I think actually remember we was complaining
I
about
think
the
it's
bye.
5. I
Yeah,
think it's
five
5
games.
because
Yep,
I
yep.
think that Tennessee
Cowboys.
game could be a trap game, man. Like,
It's a
because
trap
we got
game,
some
right?
tough cookies, and then we got a little cupcake. Well, I'm not gonna call Tennessee. Me, all respect. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Tennessee as a team. I like that roster.
I do
It's the
too.
quarterback situation that I'm not really sold on like that. But we still believe we should beat Tennessee though.
Yeah. Cowboys at the Vikings, home against Tennessee, at Green Bay November 3rd, and then the big one Sunday night at Houston, take on the Texans. Man, boy, somebody asked me today, they was like, well, we'd be lucky to be 3-2 out of the next 5. You know what I'm saying? And
I think that's possible. That's kind of
mhm,
what I was thinking.
yeah. And well, to me, I mean, I'll handicap it real quick. I mean, I got us beating the Cow no matter what. I think the Cowboys getting the L this week. That's how I feel about it. I was hoping Pittsburgh would beat them last week and then we would bury that team this week. You know what I'm saying? But they won. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, they won. So I think we still gonna win the game. Vikings is gonna be huge. I hope we
It's gonna be
win.
a lot of broken helmets
Yeah,
that
yup,
day.
yup. And it's just, man. I just think the Vikings, we gonna hand the Vikings their first loss. It's a statement game all over. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the Vikings are viable. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like they're not a good team because I didn't have them. I had them in last place in this division for the year, but I think the thing that's most sustainable about the Vikings is their defense. You know what I'm saying? I think right now with Brian Flores, we know the pieces they have. They can hang their hat on rush, defensive line, getting to the quarterback. They do a really good job. I think we can get to them in the secondary, though. I think they're a little bit long in the tooth in secondary. You know, Harrison Smith is not the Harrison Smith he was maybe 5 years ago, in my opinion. I think we can get some
He's
long
still a good
passes on
player,
him.
man.
Yeah, yeah.
Harrison's still a good player.
I
Yeah.
think they vulnerable to me, and I
No,
think
in the secondary, yeah.
yeah, and I think only thing the Lions would have to do is if the offense is clicking, we can win. I think if we have them games where we can't, move the chains, then it's going to be a dogfight, that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? But if our offense is clicking, I think we can take care of the Vikings. Tennessee, just like you, I think it's going to be a more harder game than people think because Tennessee defense is decent. You know what I mean? Their offense is decent, and just Will Levis can play good for a quarter. You know what I'm saying, and get you 14, 17 points, that type of thing. So you got to watch out. Lions and Packers, I don't have a good feeling about the first match. I think the Packers going to be super motivated to beat the Lions. You know what I'm saying? That game, it's in November, first week in November. So I got the Lions maybe losing that game and then maybe an L against Houston. You know what I'm saying? Not that I don't think that they're better than those teams, but the Lions are not going to win every game. So
They
three and
ain't
two
losing
is
to Houston though.
three
I
and two is
think the
sustainable.
bigger the moment, especially like out of the NFC, they're not losing to Houston. I think that the magnitude of that game, and it's a prime time game. It's a Sunday
Yeah.
night game at Houston. No, they're gonna beat Houston. Not like those other games, I can understand that. Like even Tennessee, I just think it's a trap. Cause like think about it, man. We got some serious competition surrounding that Houston game. And you talking about we
Yeah.
might be coming off an emotional game against Dallas, then having to play an emotional game, a hard hitting game against Minnesota. Then you're talking about Tennessee's and the Green Bays of the world. And then
Mhm.
after Houston, you talking about Jacksonville. You got Colts, you got Jags. So I think it's the most important thing for us right now to understand we have to win the games that we supposed to win. We can't give one away at Indianapolis. We
Yeah.
can't give one away against Jacksonville because we had 14 penalties. Like we can't play stupid and bad against the teams that we are obviously supposed to beat. Beat Jacksonville, beat Tennessee, beat Indianapolis. That's another 3 wins right there. I think we should beat Chicago both games. The only reason I think we won't is because it's a divisional game in Chicago.
Yeah.
But we
And
should beat Chicago twice and split with Green Bay and split with Minnesota. That's how I honestly think we should go.
defense. Defense. Thanksgiving Day, we play the Bears. Lions. We've lost 7 straight Thanksgiving. I think we've been on here the last 3 Thanksgivings, and they've lost. They've lost 7 straight. I had to look it up. So you got to believe that they're due for a win on Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying, to beat the Bears. And then I like playing the Bills late in the season. I see December 15th. We got the Bills at home. That's
Yeah.
a winner, definitely a winnable game. I think. You know what I'm saying. I'm just excited for the schedule because I think that this is we're gonna learn a lot about this team, Walt, and I think that we think we know what this team is, our team, the Lions. You know what I'm
We
saying.
know.
So we know what they are. You know what I'm
I
saying.
think
And
you and I know. And
I,
like
I just
even Corey, judged by some of Corey's comments, I think Corey knows. We have
yeah, yeah.
listeners who do know, man. This is a good football team that's solidly built. They have a good
Mhm.
philosophy. They know exactly what opposing teams, especially opposing lines of scrimmage, don't want, especially defensive lines don't want. They don't want offensive lines leaning on them for 60 minutes.
Yeah,
They would
yeah,
much rather pass rush.
yeah.
Defensive linemen don't want you leaning on them for 60 minutes. And we
I,
understand that as long as we stick to that and we do our play action and we get our big plays, the Jameson Williams and Laporta's involved, the St. Brown's involved, and the defense is continuing to play at the level that they're playing at, maybe higher, moving on in the season, this is a good football team.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean they're gonna beat everybody? No.
No.
Any given Sunday, things can happen and you can lose to somebody.
Yeah. And I, I agree with Corey. He's 100% right. About the offensive line. That's what I was kind of getting at too. Like, I think to beat the Vikings, I think we gonna have to keep pace and score with them guys. And you know how, remember against like what was that against the Cardinals where we really couldn't score, you know what I'm saying? Not so much the Cardinals, but the Rams, Tampa for sure. Remember, we couldn't score in the red zone. We got
1 for 7.
1 for 7 in the red zone. So that tells you if we score just 2 more times out of those trips in the red zone, we probably win that game. So if our offense is clicking, I think we beat anybody, period. I mean, I think you probably can say that about every team in the NFL, but it's just, I'm not worried about the defense. I mean, I've been waffling back and forth about guys that I want on this roster, like as far as like you're hearing Max Crosby and Devontae Adams chatter. Hassan Reddick is still out there. Surprisingly, hasn't signed yet with a team. You know what I'm saying? He's still standing off. Well,
Good
he
old
probably
Jets,
don't want to
though,
come
baby.
back to the Jets. Yeah, right. He don't
Good
even want
old
to go
Jets.
back. And it's like, for me, I think the only way Brad Holmes will make a move, and I was kind of thinking about this because, like the trade deadline in NBA, I think the NFL is kind of getting like that now. You know what I'm saying? Where I think the last 8 games of the season, if you're in contention, I think, you do what you have to do to try to get your team over the top. And I think that, right now, everything's good. Listen, Lions 3-1. So right now, we say what we need and we think we know what we need, but maybe the organization feels like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what I can say this, the last game, granted, we didn't get a chance to talk about it because we haven't been on because we was kind of on the bye week ourselves a little bit. But Enrique's doing a job, man. I think that they're doing some good things with Enrique, getting some little bit of pressure to the quarterback. Maybe they feel they don't need to get it. They dare I say that we don't need an edge rusher. I know I'm gonna eat these words in about 2 games when we don't get pressure on a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's crazy.
What's up, Neil?
Mekhi Wingo's done the job. You know what I'm saying? He's been phenomenal, I think, as a rookie coming in. I think he's been a guy that, this team counts on. Listen, this team, this organization, this coaching regime don't play rookies and trust them. You know what I'm saying? We hear Dan Campbell say all the time, that you have to earn your spot. We're just not going to give anybody a spot. You know what I'm saying? Just because if you are highly drafted, you may not get a chance. You know what I'm saying? You're not automatically penciled in as a starter. And I think Mekhi Wingo playing, I think that speaks volumes. They remember last year, I think Kobe Sorstal was the guy on the offensive line that was a rookie, and they trusted him early, and it paid off because he came in and played some games and started some games when we needed him. So,
I think there's also strength in numbers. I think in 2 guys in Levi and Wuzurike and Mekhi Wingo, that's interior pressure.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been complaining about the last couple years.
Yeah.
Getting some interior pressure to help out Aiden on the outside, because Aiden's looking like an elite player.
Yeah.
Mega elite.
Oh,
now,
man.
people are trying to say, oh, well, he's going up against backup tackles and this and that. Well, if he didn't have these pressures and he didn't have these sacks against these backup tackles, y'all be trashing him for that. So he doing what he's supposed to do, man. It's just, I'm happy Levi's healthy.
Yeah,
he was my number 1 defensive tackle coming out of that class out of Washington, man, and it's well needed.
Yep. He's really played well. You know what I'm saying? And I like that he's coming off the edge. That's a different look, man. It really is. Well, I mean, I really do think that he could do something. I thought he was kind of too heavy. You know what I mean? And kind of not quick enough to be a guy that you can send on the edge like that. But it's worked, man. You know what I'm saying? It has. The last game against Seattle, he played great. We was there. We seen it. You know what I'm saying? And and Seattle got a decent offensive line. You know what I mean? They're not great, but Charles Cross, those guys, you know what I'm saying? They got a couple good pieces there. So yeah, I mean, this is Minnesota's on a bye, so they get an early bye week, just like we did. So it's not a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon, man. You know what I mean? Because me and you was like, oh man, they got to play, 12 straight games now. Well, if we get the
13.
13, if we get the number one seed, Walt, then we get a bye week. You know what I'm saying?
That's a
Which
hell
will,
of a grind, man. I mean,
yeah,
somebody got to do it every year, I guess, to a certain extent. But
yeah. When it come down to it, you know, are we gonna make a move? Are we gonna get? I think the only thing, and don't kill me for saying this, because remember I'm all in like get a defensive lineman before I hear you, LM. Before I
no,
kind of think we
people
need a
here didn't want Montez Sweat. Oh, I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
want to pay him 20 mil a year.
yeah. I kind of think we need a receiver, man. That's me. But Tim Patrick's he's looked okay. I think Tim Patrick's another guy that he's got. I've seen why he's got some ability. It's not like he's a scrub and he can't play. You know what I'm saying? I think that they're getting more comfortable with him, and I think Goff's get comfortable with him. I mean, he's found he had 2 catches, 52 yards, I think, the last game, and he had 2 catches, like 32 yards the game before that. So um
You don't think the bigger
maybe,
plan could be Allen Robinson?
yeah, maybe we see a little bit more Allen Robinson this week, but I'm still more so like, man, we kind of need a receiver, man. I don't know, Christian Kirk more. I think about Christian Kirk, a guy that could be, if Jacksonville starts to go south, if they season start, we see teams like almost surrendering, man. You know what I'm saying? You see the Browns, you see other team,
Amari
not so
Cooper?
much the big, yeah. Bengals not getting ready to do anything. I think the Bengals think they still can make. They got a shot. So, it's just a lot of things that have been eye opening this first quarter of the season. You know what I mean? And I think when you look at it, I was looking at a power ranking. I don't know who the guy was, but anyway, long story short, he had his top 10, and then I thought it was interesting. It was Kansas City 1, it was Minnesota 2, and he had the Lions at 3. He had them ahead of Baltimore and ahead of Washington. You know what I'm saying? Both of those teams, I think right now, record wise, are better than Detroit, but he still believe, that the Lions are like one of the top 3 best teams in the league. You know what I mean? And I think that,
Yeah,
you know,
they are. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. I
if you
mean,
being, I
it's
mean, people may say, well, y'all Lions fans, y'all Lions content creators, so that's why y'all say that. But it's obvious,
mhm,
like they are one of the 3 or 4 best teams in football. They're playing like it right now, and for people who don't really want to admit that, I think it's time for you to move past what you see on that helmet and realize that this team is actually legit. So, hey, but man, let's move into this
yeah,
injury report real quick.
yeah,
Everybody can hear me pretty solid. You can hear me?
yeah. I got you.
Yep.
Yep, I hear you.
All right. So first things first, October 7th, which was yesterday, Christian Mahogany, Detroit designated Mahogany illness for return to practice Tuesday. I think that was really big.
That's my
Don't know what
guy.
really went
My
down
guy.
today,
Yeah,
but
that's my guy.
that is pretty big. Let's talk about that real quick before we get to anything else.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the potential for the interior of this offensive line to have issues since this offseason. You
Hmm.
and I both was happy, ecstatic when they drafted Christian Mahogany. We did countless mock drafts through the
Yeah.
mock draft simulator over the off season prior to the draft where we went after him and we expected him to potentially compete for a starting spot this season. Didn't happen. He was dealing with what he was dealing with illness wise the entire off season, but he's cleared to be here. I think this is huge, man. Huge, huge.
Yep. Yep. I
Big
think
time experienced player out of Boston College.
yep.
He can play both guard
Huge.
positions. Huge, powerful, immovable object in the middle of that offensive line. Plays with a tremendous mean streak. He's their type of player, and I think if he would have came in healthy, he probably would have got one of those starting jobs.
Yep. Yep. I agree. I totally agree, Walt. Couldn't have said it better myself. And that's a guy I just want everybody to watch him, just watch his development because he may be a guy, that needs to be counted on. Because remember, injuries happen. And we just said we got to play 13 more games with no bye week. And the offensive line plays got to be at a premium, man, to keep Montgomery and to keep Gibbs rolling like we want him to be. And Christian Mahogany is a perfect guy. That's why they drafted him. You know what I'm saying? To be a guy that can keep the run game, and not miss a beat. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear that Christian Mahogany is back in the fold. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of weird because I was looking for him in the preseason, then it was like some undisclosed illness or something they didn't say, and I was just hoping it wasn't nothing they were covering up, something internally. So it's good to see, okay, he's back in the building, that type of thing. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to. I like that he's in the fold, and anybody that this team has on the roster, I believe he's playable. I really do. I sort of lost faith in James Houston. That's the guy I've fallen out of favor with. He's my Will Harris of this year. I think that James Houston is done here in Detroit, man. I really do. I mean, he's had every opportunity, Walt, to get that spot, opposite.
No, I
Even though
agree.
he's a specialist, he is a specialist, but
He's the prototypical fan favorite, the guy who fan favorite, the
yeah,
guy who gives you a very, very small sampling size of greatness,
yeah,
and you just keep holding him to that. 1 year pass, 2 year pass, never quite can rekindle what you initially saw. Remember how we were like all in on Kerry Hyder? Like
yep,
Kerry Hyder had a good 4 or 5 game run,
yep.
and people wanted that man to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
He was a specialist. Now he actually did a little bit more than what James Houston did, but I agree tremendously, man. Nobody wanted James Houston to work out here more than me because I love his story. I followed him from University of Florida to Jackson State with Deion Sanders, and I knew the potential he had off the edge. It just never worked out. I think it's more so him and the coaching staff. Not to say
Yeah,
that he was a bad guy or they were bad to
yeah.
him.
Of course not.
It
No,
could
no.
just be a bad marriage. He could go
Yeah,
somewhere else and flourish.
and
I want to
flourish.
see him do it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it just like you said, and it's just not to say right. And I'm glad you said it like that. I'm saying not saying he's a bad guy or nothing like that. It's just they got their specific guys, man, for this roster, and I can't say that like Brad Holmes has been true to his guns from the start. You know what I'm saying? Like we only picking the guys, that fit what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying? So they saw something in him, and it hasn't translated on the field. Maybe the Lions using them wrong. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? You know what I mean? But all I know is this: I know they have found something with Anzarike this year. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a guy I didn't have in the fold, and now he is in the fold, and I think that right now it kind of changes things for the better for this team, man. You know what I'm saying? Marcus Davenport was great for 2 games. Oh my goodness, that was a blow. And then having Anzarike last week just showed, and then he's done it for the first 4 games of the season. You know what I mean? Josh Pascal's kind of like not. You know what I mean? I've been waiting for him, and it's like Anzarike has been a pleasant surprise. Just leave it
Oh
at
yeah.
that.
Uh,
You know, and
let him
then you know
go.
what, and then too, before we talk about the injury report, credit Malcolm Rodriguez too, Walt. Who
Oh yeah.
stayed
Yeah.
who
He's
stayed ready. You know what I'm saying? Remember, he was kind of like by the wayside last year, like more so relegated to special teams and just like some plays here and there on defense. And now Malcolm Rodriguez, due to because of Derek Barnes being hurt. Malcolm, he ready to play ball, and I think that's all coaching, man. That's all coaching, getting that kid ready from the start, getting the confidence up. Credit, Aaron Glenn, to like them from the start, that type of thing. So now you go back to him, and you can count on Malcolm Rodriguez to play. You know what I'm saying? He had an interception in the championship game last year. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's not like that it's a big drop off from Derek Barnes to Malcolm Rodriguez. You know what I'm saying? I think he's more than capable of playing out the rest of this season. You know what I mean? At linebacker. So, I just want
yeah.
to add that.
So You brought him up. Derek Barnes' status, injured reserve. We talked about that a couple days ago. You and I personally talked about that. Head coach Dan Campbell said Monday that the team would be fortunate to get Barnes' knee back at any point this season. Colton Pouncey of the Athletic reports. All right, so you and I both figured after that Arizona game, it didn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
Coach gave some coach speak, which is expected. I'm pretty sure he knew after the game, well, for sure, what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I think losing Derek is a little bit bigger because I think he is a better player. He's bigger, he's more athletic. I think they can do more with him. Malcolm serves a solid purpose, and you need to have guys like Malcolm on the team. You need to have guys like not Vaitai, but Vaikai,
Vaki. Zion
Vaki,
Vaki. Yeah.
yeah, guys like him out of Utah who are team guys who can do things and help the team multifacetedly. But yeah, Derek was really hitting his stride, man.
Yeah.
He was
Man, you
hitting his
know that's my
stride.
guy.
They was able
Yeah.
to do multiple things with him in multiple sets, man. And not having him, it hurts because now, yes, Jack Campbell gets more snaps, but it's not like Jack is getting more snaps in the position where he needs to actually get them at. And we've been talking for 2 years. It's a gift and a curse because Alex Anzalone is standing in his way. But you're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna move Anzalone out the way for Jack because Anzalone is so good of a player right now. And none of us expected Anzalone to become what he's become. So what do you think about him?
Yeah, yeah, what's up, Jeremy? Yeah, you're right. But Jack Campbell, my guy, man. I got faith in Jack gonna be all right. I just love, man, how Jack laid the wood on anybody around him. Jack gonna tackle. Michael Rodriguez gonna tackle. Maybe, like you said, Barnes way. I think he better in coverage. We know Anzalone. I think we fine at linebacker. I think linebacker we can get by. I really do. I think that's not even an issue with this team. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I would. Don't trust me. I would rather. Derek Barnes, my guy. He been my guy from the start. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad he just turned in to be the leader of that. Him and Anzalone, man, you trust them guys. Anzalone and Derek Barnes is a good combination. You know what I'm saying? But I think, yeah, just what Corey, I was just going to say, just what Corey said. I think because of Anzalone, he's the guy that you kind of depend on, you know, to compliment Jack Campbell, to have Michael Rodriguez kind of back. And then Jalen Reeves-Maybin, too, has been getting some snaps, you know. I think we fine. I think that Derek Barnes was just the icing on the cake that kind of made our defense what it was. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, Walt? To kind of give us that swag we kind of needed. So, but they found some other things to what I'm getting at with this team, man. I think defensively, we didn't know like how playing time was going to be distributed, how the secondary was going to shake out, and we had like four spots on the secondary, but we had like seven guys, and now Melifonwu's not playing, on injured reserve, and we kind of know everything's kind of shaking itself out like we thought it would. And man, I'm just ready to go with these guys. I think that we can battle any team. I think Kirby Joseph is turning out to be him and Branch is turning out to be one hell of a duo back there. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a plus. I got people still telling me Terran Arnold they don't like what they see, but I do. I think that them ticky tack pass interference. I think people don't have to worry about that, man. I think week 13, week 14, Terrion Arnold's going to be fine, man. You know what I'm saying? I think he's got the mindset to say, you know what, man, damn it, I'm covering anybody. Give me the guy. I'm covering him. You know what I'm saying? And he'll learn. It's like he it's a lot of hand play. I don't like the hand play. I don't. But I think that, and then he got to get turned around. I think me and Darcy talked about it at the last game. It's like he's got to get turned around. You know what I'm saying? He'll find all that. He'll the instincts will come. You know what I'm saying? So
You got to
I'm
be
good with the
confident
defense.
enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big difference between average corners and really great corners.
Yeah.
You're going to cover with your hands within the first 5 yards. After the first 5 yards, it's
Yeah.
eyes and feet, eyes and feet.
Yeah,
hips,
yeah,
eyes, and feet. You gotta
yeah,
have confidence.
yeah,
We was
yeah,
talking about Christian Gonzalez earlier. Like that,
yeah, yeah.
that's one thing. Well, those are a set of things that Christian Gonzalez do so well. But he's also an elite athlete.
Hmm.
And he has the size, he has the reach, he has all of those types of tools, some of those attributes that you can't really teach. But I think over the long run, Terrion's going to be okay. I
Yeah,
mean, he's been penalized more, I think, than Jeff Okuda was when he first started here. But we were worried about Jeff. When
yeah,
you watch
man.
Terrion, it's like, yeah, but he's still out there competing like hell. Like he's still out there getting his PBUs and he's still
Yeah,
talking his talk out there. So he's not down on himself. We
right.
got worried about Jeff Okuda real early. Now we can get Rakestraw back. You know, Mosley is somebody I'm not even gonna bring up, but we talked in the pre-show about just looking at the list of injuries we got. If this team was healthy
Yeah,
with the guys that they already have, man, and if you look at the rest of the list, Frank, I think Jeremy brought up Frank. Coach Dan Campbell said Monday that Ragnar Pectorial was back
yeah,
at practice. Tim Twentyman of the Lions official site
yeah,
reports. This ain't nothing new. We know what it is with Frank. Frank is number one or 1A when it comes to centers in the league.
yeah,
First ballot Hall of Famer. Well, if the Lions can get somewhere,
yeah,
probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. Frank's been one of the best at his position in college and in the NFL all these years.
yeah,
Guy we can't go without. I think we can survive without Frank. This team has been built to survive without certain guys. Now, Penei Sewell, that's something completely different. I'm not sure if this offensive line can really survive without him.
yeah.
But Frank, we discussed 2 weeks ago, like, okay, heading into this bye week, do you not play him against Seattle and then let him have 2 weeks off, or do you play him against Seattle and then just let him have the bye week off?
Hmm.
Frank's appears to be he's listed as questionable right now, so Frank appears to be on pace to play in Dallas. I think there's no way Frank don't play in that game in Dallas. What do
Hmm.
you think?
Yeah, I think a beat down is imminent. I think a beat down is coming for Dallas, bro. I really do. I think somebody even said it. I'm just saying it objectively. Just this is why I say that. I'm not gonna just give you a blanket statement and say something and don't back it up. Dallas has the interior line is not the interior line when they had Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard, those guys in their prime. You know what I'm saying? I think Aiden Hudson gonna eat on this team, man. I think our offense gonna be able to do what they want against this team. I really do. I think the secondary, it may be something there. Maybe they may try to bait Goff into throwing one wide and try to, intercept them, like, telegraph a couple passes like that. But if we run the ball and score in the red zone, 20-yard line to 20-yard line, get inside the 20, hammering with the run game wall, I think this game gonna be over by halftime. I really do. I think they gonna smash this team, dude. I don't believe in Dallas at all. I don't think offensively they can run the ball on us, and that's going to spell all kind of trouble for me unless Dak Prescott turns into Mike Vick and runs for first downs. I don't see it, man,
What
at
up,
all.
Trey?
So you know, I see you, Dar. Yeah, it's in Dallas. Some weird stuff always happens. I
I
just
think
think,
that goes out the window.
I
A
think
lot of
just
those
like
old
Seattle
school
was a
Lion
check.
Jenses we had, I think goes out the window. I think they better than Dallas. I think they
Mhm,
know what to do against Dallas.
you know,
After last year and that BS that happened, and you had some Cowboy fans. My thing is this, man. As a Lions fan, if we win on some BS, I'm gonna tell you, we
yeah,
won on some BS. Now, am I gonna apologize for a win? No, I'm not. But I know if we won on some BS, the fact that you had some Cowboys fans that were actually gloating over
yeah,
that type of game is what kind of ate me alive. I think it ate a lot of Lions fans alive. And
yeah.
we're gonna handle them boys. I believe it too. But we're gonna get deeper into Dallas later
Yeah,
on.
yeah, just run down their throat. Yeah, and then Frank, just to answer your question, I don't want to be, I wouldn't be too, because I was thinking of that too. Would I bring Frank back because I think we can beat him without him? No, I would bring Frank. I want this game. These next two games, I want them, man. This one and the Vikings, you got to be, and then maybe sit them out against the Titans. You know what I mean? And then maybe be ready for Green Bay, that type of thing. You know what I mean? That's the kind of That's what how I would gauge Frank Ragnar right now. You know what I'm saying? Of the big games, put Frank in there. We know he can do his thing, you know what I'm saying, and dominate like he always does. You can give him a weekend off. You got Titans, maybe give him the Jaguars or the Colts off coming up. You know what I'm saying? I'm just picking games that maybe down the road. Maybe Thanksgiving against the Bears or something like that. Now the Bears kind of got a good defense, so you kind of D line, you
I'm
kind of
think.
want
Well,
them
you
in
know what? That Colts game is almost guaranteed to be a tough game too, because they
there.
play everybody tough. Now, I still think we should beat the Colts,
Yeah.
but the Colts, they
They're
have a
scrappy.
way. They have a way of pulling you into that old 21-17 type of game before you know it. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
yep.
that's
And
what, the day before Thanksgiving. Yeah, the
y
24th. Matter of fact.
yep, and just what Jeremy said, Jeremy, I was gonna say the same thing about Tyler Guyton. You know what I'm saying? And he's a rookie. He's learned. I like Tyler Guyton coming out of Oklahoma last year. I was thinking he would be a nice project pick. And I think that these kind of offensive linemen the Lions have played well against these rookies this season. You know what I'm saying? If you look at the other games they played so far, it just to me this spells like a game the Lions is just gonna pound the rock. I'm not saying they're gonna beat them like 38-10 or nothing like that, but I could see Dallas not even scoring a touchdown. That's how confident I am. You know what I'm saying? 21-3, 21-6, something like that. So um,
All right. Well, listen, Brian Branch. Coach
yeah,
Dan Campbell said Monday that Branch's illness was back at practice.
yeah,
Tim Twentyman of the Lions official site reports.
yeah,
Um, Important for him to stay healthy, man.
yep,
He throws his body around a lot. And for a dude that's 5'10, 5'11, roughly 190, play as kamikaze as he plays,
hmm
I need him to start playing a little bit smarter. Um, Also learn how to wrap up a little bit better. He will go in for those kill shots from time to time, but he's a football player that just needs to learn how to play a little bit smarter, man. And we need him. I really believe that.
yep,
If
yep,
and I like Brandon Joseph. I think Brandon
yes,
Joseph has
oh
came
yes,
along very well over the last 3-4 years, ever since he left the University of Northwestern and then went to Notre Dame,
yeah,
which is weird because it's just, if I know what your physical skill set is and you're a one high safety,
yeah.
that's what
Remember?
helped you lead. That's what helped you lead the NCAA in interceptions that year.
Yeah,
You leave Northwestern, you go to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame makes you a box safety,
yeah,
and then draft stock just plummets. But he's still a guy that we can't trust right now. He hasn't been through it enough.
yeah,
I like
yeah,
the fact that he's playing, he's getting the experience, but Melifonwu not being there, and it is what it is, man. And I love his ceiling, I love his athleticism, his size, his versatility.
yeah,
Best ability is availability, and you ain't here. If he was here, it'll help us out tremendously, but he's not.
yeah,
So we really need Branch to stay healthy with Kirby. Kirby playing, this is the best season of his career right
yeah,
now,
yeah.
overall, as a safety, not just in pass coverage.
Yeah, we might have some shows at the end of this season. Do you pay Kirby? You know what I'm saying? It's going Kirby. He might.
We already
He.
talked about what the market is for safeties.
Mhm.
We saw some of the best not get paid.
Yeah,
Best.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I like what I see. Like I said, the secondary is just it's been a pleasant surprise. Like I said, Terry and Arnold, we got some stuff to clean up, but hey, Carlton Davis, I was kind of worried. Oh boy, Carlton he had a tough week. What
but
was
he
the
bounced back.
he bounced back? Yeah, yeah.
Every game, he'll have a moment where we grab our heads, and then he have another moment we're like, all right, damn good play, Carlton.
Who was that? Arizona when we played Marvin Harris. Remember, he had that one in the end zone, man, made him look silly a little bit, but he had a good game last week, though. Do you know what I'm saying? He came back. Um, Yep, just what Jeremy said. Yep, I like Brandon Joseph too, man. You know what I'm saying? In the game, we remember me and Darcy was kind of the same thing was coming out of our mouth. We was like, dude, they single high safety every time with Brandon Joseph. I thought that was interesting that Seattle kind of didn't take advantage of that. You know what I'm saying? That what we was doing,
Well,
they threw the ball a lot, but it was just like they didn't try to go over the top like you thought they would.
well, they gave up too many pressures against Miami the prior week. they already knew what they was dealing with coming in here facing Aiden Hutchinson and our defensive line. So the game plan was quick, 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 quick.
Yeah.
And we were baiting them all night to throw the
Yeah.
ball to the deep thirds, and they wouldn't do it.
Yeah. 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 Listen, I just think that right now, man, we just go out there. I just think if we play and just impose our will on teams, I think right now we got enough cachet around the league. Like you just said, like teams don't want the Lions leaning on them, man. They don't want Big Penny Sewell and Decker and even Graham Glasgow been decent, to the fact, to an extent. Zeitler's been great, to me. I thought he was better than I thought. I thought he would be more so the weak link coming into this, to this fold, what I'm saying? But Zeitler's been all right, you know what I'm saying? I like everything about this team right now. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, before the Seattle game, people was really pointing to Jared Goff, and just like I'm not turning this into a Jared Goff show and all. I'm not. I'm not gonna do it tonight. I don't have the patience to even deal with that tonight. But what I'm saying is, it's like if this team just does what they set out to do, well, I don't think very many teams can stop this team. I really don't. I say that because you look at the 49ers, they got some issues over there. Philly, if you want to say put them in the category 2, they was on a bye week. So something's not right with Philly, man. I said that that team is uh still going to be in the mix. I still believe, just like I believe Tampa's going to be there, but I just ultimately believe I think the Lions will smash them teams, man, when it come down to it. So,
Yeah, I mean,
you know, flat out,
yeah,
that's how I feel about it.
the Eagles are what they are. Um, it's bad continuity on offense, bad continuity on defense. There's still questions about whether or not Jalen Hurts can actually beat you from the pocket. And you
Mhm.
look at the fact that that team hasn't been the same since that Super Bowl loss to Kansas City. They
Yeah.
played a lot of bad football. The only thing is we kind of put cologne over it because they was winning.
Yeah.
Remember it now. No, I mean I fell for it when they started last season 10-1. I was the main person
You
saying,
said it all year.
yeah,
We were
but
saying it.
grit and they showing character and gumption and moxie and they know how to will out these games. In all actuality, they were performing poorly and they just had players who made enough plays to really cover up the fact that they stunk.
Yeah.
Now it's not working. Teams aren't giving Jalen Hurts those same running lanes that they gave him that Super Bowl year.
Yeah.
Things been way tougher for him. And now it's like, yeah, no, I don't think anybody really fears Philadelphia like that. You got to respect
I
them. It's
hope
still a
so.
17-game season, but do I think if we played Philly tomorrow, we wouldn't be favored? Of course, I think we'd be favored, whether the game was in
Yeah.
Philly or if the game was here in Detroit. Because I just think that we're a better overall team than Philly right now. So I think we just, man, listen, we're ascending. We're still ascending right now. And you talking about comparing us to these other teams in the NFC, Dallas ain't ascending. Could Dallas beat us Sunday? It's possible. But Dallas got their own issues right now. San Francisco got their own issues. The Eagles have their own issues. Our biggest competition, honestly, is going to come from our own division. I'm thinking that's Green Bay and that's Minnesota for the most part. Let's go into some of these comments while Ashanti steps away. Wingo is more, Jeremy says Wingo is more suited as a pass rush defensive tackle. I agree. His bullish is sufficient. His bull rush is sufficient, but that lack of lateral agility and less than average hand pop, it limits him, in my opinion. I agree. I think he got away with a lot of it at LSU, even though he got away with a lot of it against NFL caliber guards and tackles. LSU played him everywhere. They didn't line him up at 0 too much, but they did play him at 1, played him at 2, played him at 2-eye. From what I noticed, he was at his best 2-eye and out. He would give some offensive tackles problems at 4-tech, but for the most part, if you can maneuver him around enough on the defensive line and just keep him away from the double teams, and I think that's what DJ Reader's there for. You play him next to Reader enough, and
Yeah.
then maybe put him at 3-tech, keep him at 3 tech exclusively, you got something there. So I do agree with Jeremy. I think he's more
Yeah.
built to be an interior pass rusher than anything else.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I had to leave. I had to turn into Action Jackson real quick. Somebody had like Carl Weathers.
Oh man,
Rest in
boy.
peace, Carl Weathers. But yeah, I agree. Wing with my guy, man. And I think that bull run, it worked though. I don't know why we don't do. I don't know why defensive ends seem like they don't. Yeah, and I think you can answer this question way better than I can. Like why aren't well, I guess I can answer my own question. It's like why we don't see that technique more, because I think it'll work if you can kind of get somebody off balance. But I think the offensive linemen are more athletic, more stronger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
More like,
you can't
you
just
know,
bull rush everybody. I think Ndamukong Suh thought and it worked for his rookie year. He was his rookie year. Sue was giving people problems, but I
yeah.
think Sue he had to learn after his rookie year. Okay, I can't just come to the next level and just bull rush everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody up here can bench press 450.
Yeah.
Everybody got power. Everybody get playing with leverage. Everybody got base.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't just get away with that overall. I think as a defensive tackle, though, playing on the interior, you don't need a ton of pass rush moves.
Yeah.
If you got a nice bull rush, um, a good swim move, a nice rip, that's pretty much all you need. Now,
Yeah.
it all depends on the matchups too. If you're going up against a guard that you can just whoop with just overall power and strength, then more than likely that's what you're going to set up your game plan and your pass rush game plan for. But you got to have a little bit of versatility, a little
Yeah.
bit. And I just think that Davenport, man, he gave us that.
Oh boy.
He gave us that that perception on our defense that we didn't have. Like
For 2 games, man. It was
the,
like
the
it
dude,
all
the
was
six
perfect.
six,
It was
the six
perfect.
six two
Yeah.
eighty, man, the 6'6" 280 power rusher.
It was
But it's
perfect,
not like
man.
we didn't think it was gonna happen. It was
Yeah.
good while it lasts, man.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
good while it lasts.
Now, Walt, go through the real quick before we get out of here. Walt, go through the injury. Did you go through all the injuries? I mean, did we have any? We didn't
Well,
have
that
no
was
setback.
no, that was just the main stuff that I ran across. Didn't get anything on DetroitLions.com. I got that off ESPN.com. So I mean, it's Tuesday. I don't expect to hear too much crazy stuff going on
Yeah,
moving forward.
because
Frank is the main guy.
yeah. You know what? We was at the game. You know who looked more fluid was Sam Laporta. I mean, Laporta looked like himself for the first time last week. You know what I'm saying? You could tell, man, something was lagging or something. And I think last week, Goff found him a couple times, targeted him, and that situation where they need Laporta, man. And I think finally he looked
Jeremy
more
got
like
all the
himself.
information, man.
Yeah, Jeremy, our insider. Yeah, I mean, true. Broderick Martin, another guy I'm real high on. You know what I'm saying?
We just
Super
need
strong guy.
bodies, man, and we need
Yep.
different types of bodies. We need a Broderick Martin type of body in there too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It'd be perfect. So, yeah, I mean, well, we gonna come on as we shift our sights on the Cowboys, man. In these next, uh, like Darcy even mentioned it. We talked about it, Darcy, before you came on. The next 4 or 5 games, man, is critical. I think this one, the Cowboys, for damn sure next week against Minnesota. The following week, I think that's the big one. I think everybody's kind of focusing on that, but we can't, put the cart before the horse, that type of thing. We got to take care of business this week, and then we could talk about the Vikings, which, listen, I said in this 5 game, I at least, because remember, everybody, they're not going to go 17. Well, we already lost one, so they're not going to go 16-1. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be realistic and where a loss or two might come from. You know what I mean? And it could be, I'm pointing towards maybe the Green Bay game coming up in about 3 weeks, and then maybe Houston. You know what I'm saying? I could see a slip up there. You know what I mean? Like, again, not saying those teams are better than the Lions. I just think that, you're gonna lose a couple. You know what I'm saying? So, but the next two, I expect to beat the Cowboys, and I expect to beat the Vikings. Plain and simple, man. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel about it. So, Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you feel, you know what I mean, as far as like further, I mean, you haven't really talked about like down the road yet, but we kind of talked about Tennessee a little bit, but
Yeah.
you know,
Um, I don't know. It's you mentioned I know in the pre-show about the potential of trading for a wide receiver, making a wide receiver accusation.
mhm,
Um,
yeah.
a name I'm gonna bring up, and I know this will not happen. It will not happen. No way, shape, or form would they do that with us. But Romeo Dobbs is reportedly not happy in Green Bay.
Oh, yeah,
Don't even think about it.
yeah. I was
I
about to
just
say good.
I just threw it. Listen, I just threw it out there. Don't even think about it. They
Yeah.
will never do it.
Yeah, yeah. Not no, they would never let the Lions get him, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking towards like Kristen Kirk. I think that's the guy I got him circled on my list, man. You know what I mean, right now. You know what I mean? Obviously, the Max Crosby thing is interesting. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what we'd have to give up. As I don't even think we got any future picks left right now, right? I mean, I don't even know if you could say
We got
yeah,
what 4 picks in next year's draft, I
yeah,
think.
because I think we got a third round pick in a fourth round. I know the first two are gone, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And they traded one for Vaki. I mean, Giovanni Manu. You know what I'm saying? I wish I had it in front of me. I don't have it in front of me, but
I think we discussed it
yeah.
before. Jeremy probably has a take on this too. Personally, when I look at that first round pick, as people have talked about potentially moving that first round pick for a player or whatnot. You brought up a very valid point about Kirby Joseph. There's no guarantee Joseph will be back. I mean, if we just talking about money and markets and this and that,
Okay.
we could be in the hunt for a safety. I mean, Melifonwu made just throwing out there some positions. We're gonna actually get into the draft in a couple weeks about potential positions on this team that we think could be under a makeover heading into next year's draft. But
Yeah.
yeah, you may need that first round pick for somebody. You may need it
Yeah.
for a tackle.
Yeah.
You may need
Tackle.
it for a guard.
Yeah.
You may need it for a wide receiver. You may need it for a safety. You don't know. So it's like
Okay.
you don't want to necessarily give up that draft capital for a player, and then at the end of this season, whether you win the Super Bowl or not, or you win the Super Bowl or you fall short, now you're in a situation where you don't have that draft capital. And I think fans always assume that guys, since they play for you, they just want to be there and they won't take the money. There's always a possibility of guys taking the money.
Yeah.
There's always a possibility of player and team don't measure up with the money and guy leaves. So you don't want to necessarily give up the remaining draft capital you do have for a player unless you're absolutely sure this is the guy you want. That's why personally I wouldn't do it for anybody but an edge rusher, probably.
Yeah.
I for damn sure wouldn't do it for a wide receiver. Like all this Devontae Adams talk, like I would not do that. Not
Mhm.
for another wide receiver.
Yeah.
After you just gave one all the money you just gave him, and you're talking about probably wanting to keep Jameson Williams around after another year or two, for that matter.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
yeah, I think the whole Max Crosby thing, I think is just a pipe dream, though.
Yeah. Well, Jeremy just put up. Thanks, Jeremy, for the info. He just put up. We have first and second. Okay, no third. Okay, fourth, fifth. So we don't have a third or a fifth round pick in this upcoming draft. So that kind of makes sense. I mean, no, he could be Crosby can be got for a second round pick. Dude, if you told the Raiders, I
First,
give
first
our
maybe. You sure?
a second. No, no. I wouldn't give up a first round pick. You second round pick, you can get that. They'll take that,
Max
guaranteed.
is a hell of a player. I think if the Raiders give him up, they're not giving him up for anything less than the first. They can get a first for Crosby. Now, 4 or 5 first, I don't know about all that, but they can
Mhm.
definitely get at least one first for Crosby.
Trey Hendrickson, Hassan Reddick, those three. It's another guy. You know what? Another rumor I did hear. Uh, It's DeAndre Hopkins. You know what I'm saying? He may not be happy in Tennessee from what I hear at receiver. You know, that's a
Well, look
guy.
who his quarterback is.
Yeah, I know. I mean, in a trade deadline, we need a receiver. DeAndre Hopkins more than capable of still playing ball, man. You know, that's another thing, another one to look at. So right now, I'm just looking at all kind of trade scenarios. Like I want the Bengals to keep losing, to have a fire sale. I want the Jaguars to keep losing. You know, the both team. Well, the Jaguars won, I think, last week, but you know, it just you get to the point to where, like I said, the NBA and the NFL is like the NBA now. You know what I mean? And they're coming off of guys for the trade deadline. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the line's going to be in play if some glaring needs start to haunt us. Let's just say we drop a couple games that we don't supposed to lose. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that might force Brad Holmes' hand a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to keep pace with the other teams in our conference. So it's something to look at. The next 3-4 weeks is huge in this season. Well, I mean, just as in general, as for our team as well as around the whole NFL, man. You know what I mean? We're gonna see if Washington can keep winning. You know what I'm saying? Right now they're 4-1. So Dallas is desperate because they know they're in a dogfight with Washington right now. You know what I'm saying? They keep pace. So that team gonna be motivated to beat the Lions on Sunday. So we'll see.
Yeah. So all right, that'll wrap it up. We'll know more about the injuries, of course, within the next couple of days and such, but we will be back to start talking about them Dallas Cowboys, man. You know, that's a real hot button topic in this town. Hot button topic on First Take. Hot button topic pretty much anywhere in the national media. Whenever you got that star next to your helmet, it's going to be big time talk. So, we've beaten some teams. We beat Kansas City last year. We've beaten some pretty good teams over the last couple years. There's always extra cachet that the media gives when you beat Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Whether Dallas is good or not, whether Dallas beat anybody relevant the previous week or not. Dallas came off, I think, a pretty good gut check win at Pittsburgh. They didn't play all that well, but they managed to make the plays. Dak led that final drive, and they did end up squeaking out the win. But Dallas has looked very suspect, you know. And if you're just being honest about it, what we have and our philosophy and our talent, we should be able to handle Dallas. Dallas got a lot going on right now. We discussed it in the offseason that Detroit had pretty much the quietest offseason in the NFC. Seattle breaking in a brand new head coach and staff. The Rams, young team in the league last year, got even younger this year. San Francisco going through what they were going through with Brandon Ayuk and guys holding out. They got Christian McCaffrey hurt. Everything point, and then you know Dallas, Michael Parsons and his podcast and teammates talking indirectly about him, and Jerry Jones when being asked about CeeDee Lamb's contract, talking about lamb, bologna, steak, doesn't matter. Like, it was too much going on, man. But we were the one constant. Everybody got paid. Nobody's upset. Nobody's talking about holding out.
Yeah.
Everybody showed up on time. Everybody showed up early. One goal in mind, and that's to get back to the NFC Championship and one step further to the Super Bowl and actually win the Super Bowl. So we'll be back in a couple days, man, to talk about them Dallas Cowboys. What does it take to win in the star? Till next time.
Oh!